guys? Welcome back. Hold My Helmet Football Podcast. I'm your host, Will Reichling.
I'm your host, Dylan Will.
What's up, Dylan? Welcome back to the New York Jets. My New York Jets kind of getting embarrassed a little bit by the Buffalo Bills. Not really embarrassed, but like the amount of penalties and the critical interception again at the end of the game to Mike Williams. A little bit, kind of frustrating, Dylan. But the New York Jets trading for Davante Adams, Aaron Rodgers reuniting with his former Pro Bowl wide receiver in Green Bay, Davante Adams. Buffalo Bills going out getting Amari Cooper. So the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets going out and getting key pieces at wide receiver.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to if they're good fits. I mean, will it make a difference for the Jets? Will it make a difference for the Giants? For the Bills?
I don't know. That's a very good question. I don't really know how it's going to turn out yet. Davante Adams, I know he's going to make the Jets offense slightly better, but there looks like there's problems on the Jets team that have nothing to do with wide receiver. Tyron Smith, is he shot? Is he washed? The left tackle from Dallas, he got torched like 3 or 4 plays. And Aaron Rodgers has like no time back there. When he has time, yes, he could sling the ball. People were getting open. Garrett Wilson had a great game. Breece Hall was getting open. Breece Hall was finding lanes in the running game. But when he doesn't have time, he can't move like he used to. And that line worries me.
And it was just a game where they really just weren't capitalizing on offense. I mean, they put themselves in great positions and then just shot themselves in the foot with the field goals. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're missing field goals, if the wind's heavy, go for it. Take a little bit of risk. I didn't see any of that during this game.
Not for nothing. They went, I'm pretty sure it was at least 1 for 4 or 1 for 5 in the red zone for touchdowns in the red zone, touchdown percentage. Mm-hmm. You're not going to win football games like that. You can't rely on kicking a field goal every time you get into the red zone.
No.
You need to score touchdowns. When you go 1 for 5 in the red zone, you can't blame it on those 2 missed field goals.
No.
Get 6. Don't get 3. Get 6. But we'll talk about the game in a little bit, Dylan. Right now, I really want to get into this Davante Adams and this Amari Cooper thing and what this means for both of these teams. Davante Adams, look, he was traded for a second that could potentially be a third-round pick. If Davante Adams either is first or second team All-Pro, or if Davante Adams is active in either the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl.
I was saying this before. Those are such weird conditions.
It's good for the Jets.
It is. I think... At this point, he's not getting All-Pro. Let's be honest.
No,
I mean,
he's already missed a couple games.
We're already like halfway through the season.
Right.
Yeah, I can't see him getting All-Pro.
I agree.
And then, what? It was the AFC Championship?
I think that's the most realistic option for him, if possibly making the active roster in a potential AFC Championship game. I don't even think this team is the playoff team even after this trade. But honestly, thinking about this, I'm on the whole level of we'll see how this goes. I want to see this before I believe anything with this. But on paper, I know this whole franchise the last 2 or 3 years has been on paper, but Davante Adams is your 1 and Garrett Wilson is your 2. Now we're talking. Now we're kind of talking, okay? Now you have legit weapons. Like when there was just Garrett Wilson, when there was just Breece Hall, it was like, okay, you have 1, 2 guys, now what? Now you have Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson. It could potentially, on ceiling-wise, be A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. That's what this ceiling could be for this Jets team. Offense.
I get it. I love what they did. I mean, it's like being at the casino and doubling down all your chips. Like, yeah, I just lost, but I'm putting it all down. That's basically what they're doing. You're getting an older wide receiver that's only good for a couple more years, just like Aaron Rodgers. So this is a now or never situation. And I don't know. I heard a lot of people say, and it makes sense, you put anybody on the Jets and they're just going to fail. It goes down to the organization, the coaching. Who's their head coach? An intermediate head coach?
That's a great point. Again, 12 men on the field, that's coaching right there. And you're the DC. So it's like the same shit's happening.
It showed right away.
The same shit's happening. And I told you, Ulbricht's a solid guy. So it's like, yeah, who's their head coach? Good point, Dylan. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I mean, that was the gist of it. Like, these guys are really going all in on it. For a team that's just not performing how it should. Rodgers is not performing how he should. Yeah, everyone's going to talk about that vintage Rodgers throws at the end of the half, the Hail Mary. It was great.
Besides that Hail Mary, they scored 13 points. Let's put that in perspective. Besides a lucky Hail Mary, they scored 13 points on offense. So even though they changed play callers, they had a couple explosive plays, it still was the same shit. They went 1 for 5 in the red zone. I'm going to say it again. 1 for 5 in the red zone.
It's not good. And then again, you have the pointing of the fingers. You have Aaron
Mike
Rodgers
Williams ran the wrong route.
Yeah, come on, man.
Even if he did, why go out there?
Why throw him under the bus? Exactly. Would
Mahomes do that? Would Burrow do that? Would Josh Allen do that?
I mean, was that just him solidifying, saying, hey, we need a wide receiver, do something now? If he knew. Do you think he knew? Do you think he was behind this whole Adams trade?
He definitely didn't disagree with Dylan.
No.
I don't.
Was he in on it? I mean, was that conversation that him and Woody Allen had?
Look, if you're Joe Douglas, you had to make this trade. I get it. Like, you're the GM, you have to think long term for this team. But you might not be here in talk about 5 years. You might not be here in 5 months. So you had to, honestly, the Jets had to make this trade. You had to do something. And we talked in the first couple of weeks about, is Garrett Wilson top 10? Yes, he was great the last 2 weeks. But clearly, like Davante Smith, maybe he could be a number 1, maybe he can't. But clearly he's an elite number 2. And now Garrett Wilson will be an elite number 2 wide receiver. That could be a dangerous tandem. It really could
Davante
be.
Adams, yeah.
You had to go out there and do this if you were Joe Douglas.
I don't disagree with it, but it just goes back on the whole notion where why are you going all in on a team that's not a Super Bowl roster? Are they a Super Bowl roster? I'll ask you now. Are they?
I don't think so, but I think they believe they are.
So where are they lacking? Where can they use some adjustment?
Well, they suck in the run game. We could start with that.
Well, that comes down to coaching. So coaching,
I just don't think
offensive coordinator. I feel like if you put Dable behind there, this offense is running so smooth. And
I 100% agree.
They're scoring 20-plus points a game.
Brian Dable's a legit offensive coach.
He is.
Who do you have back there? Todd Downing, who was, first off, your passing game coordinator before this. Their passing game sucked. Now you promoted him to OC. You thought it was a little better, but was it really that much different?
It really wasn't.
It wasn't.
You had a few special plays, and they think that's going to make up.
You had 2 good drives. How many times have I said the first 10 to 15 plays are scripted, then you have to really adjust? That's what happened. They scripted the first 10 to 20 plays, and then they really had to adjust, and the game went on, and they didn't score shit. No. They didn't. They got in the red zone, and they ran. I mean, they had a couple here or there. Garrett Wilson's got to hold on in the end zone. He's a little soft. That's a whole other thing. That's why you need to bring in a Davante Adams, a little more aggressive down the field. Because Garrett Wilson, he's a little undersized, and let's be honest, he's a little soft.
He is.
He gets banged up a lot. If you ever watch him get hit, he's always limping after.
But he's more of a clutch player. He'll make those big time plays in the moment.
I agree.
But I mean,
what do you think about this? So you haven't really given your full on. Where do you think the Jets go from here?
Well, listen, I honestly think the whole situation that's going on in the AFC East especially, this is such a weak AFC. Like in the past years, this is the weakest the AFC has ever been. So the window's open. You guys are a game behind the Bills. You're still
now it's 2. We were a game. Now we lost.
You guys would have been tied. You're right. And you're 1-1 in the division.
Have we played anyone else? The Bills,
the Patriots. The Patriots.
Yeah.
So you're
winning that game. How can I
so you're still very much in the run. Now you just went and picked up a top 10 wide receiver on a good day. So I don't know. I think if Rodgers gets his shit together and they can play good football, I don't see why they can't make a run for playoffs.
Now, again, like I said, the run defense kind of sucks right now. Can you really fix that? Because the D-line is not the same. You trade away John Franklin Myers. You let Bryce Huff walk on free agency, who sucked right now, I'm not going to lie. But you go out and get Hassan Reddick, knowing that he wants a contract. And apparently, you talked to him. You didn't talk to him about him playing this year or not. He's not playing. Is it a bad business decision for Hassan Reddick? Yes, it is. But at the same time, he's not there. He's not playing. Your D-line's worse.
Yeah.
And Sauce and especially DJ Reed, got a little bit exposed last night. Did they not? The left holding, passing. They got beaten a lot of plays. Yeah. They were subjected to holding the guy, pass interference down the field. The one play where it's 12 men on the field and holding on the same play, that kind of pissed me off. Because you change coach, you bring in a new attitude, and it's the same shit. Jeff Ulbrich is a solid guy, and he looked like he was overwhelmed last night.
I'm not going to say, he was a good coach, but you're right. There really wasn't much difference. And I didn't expect any difference.
Robert Sala's a subpar head coach, but he was the most experienced coach you had in the building. Yeah. So what are you doing?
Going back on Reddit,
Reddit,
going back on Reddit.
Let's not go on the Reddit forums right now.
No, but at this point, they're just making a statement, picking up Adams and not paying him.
I know.
That's what it seems like. I feel like it's water under the bridge at this
Johnson
point.
said that, hey, please, we're willing to negotiate with you. We want you to be a Jet. And look, I don't like Willie Johnson. You know this. You know that for a fact.
Mhm.
But it seems like Reddick doesn't even want to negotiate right now. I don't know what's going on with him. Is he okay? Has he ever gotten hit hard? Does he have like CTE or something? What's going on?
I just don't think he wants to be a Jet. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. He's losing more money than he ever would have gained.
The problem with that to me is, like, don't you think Joe Douglas would have vetted that before, like, he, like, traded for him? Like, made sure that this guy wants to play for you. He's going to sign with you guys. Like,
I guess not.
Or if he wasn't going to sign with you, he'll play for the season without a contract. Apparently, he talked to someone, but, like,
Two trigger finger.
Maybe.
You know.
Hopefully that's not the case here with Davante Adams. I think you had to do something here, and I think this does help the team. Is it going to fix all the problems? Probably not. But who knows? If next week Davante Adams is catching 2 touchdown passes, I might change my tune. But
Adams is another one of those guys that just has an attitude, you know? Like,
I think
that might throw off the chemistry. What if Sauce starts going off and he's sitting there like looking like AJ Brown, just all upset? Like, that's gonna throw off the chemistry.
Yeah, like Garrett Wilson going off and all of a sudden in a Devontae Smith type situation. I get what you're saying, but I think and honestly, yeah, you have a point because Davante Adams last season, the Raiders won the game very infamously, and after the game he didn't really have much action, and he seemed annoyed. He seemed pissed. He said, "Yeah, we won, but we're not going to win long term if I'm not part of the equation." And I agree with that. I think if you watch that receiver documentary, I think he's actually a very mature guy. And I think with Aaron Rodgers, dude, he's not going to go at Aaron Rodgers. He respects those two. Love each other. They have had elite numbers together. Like both of them at their best was together. Maybe this sparks some weird chemistry type of thing.
It can.
That's the only hope you have.
That's just you being a Jets fan. So I have to see it to believe it. Honestly, these two guys are a little bit out of their prime. Rodgers more so, but I don't know. I have to see it to believe it.
I tend to agree. I do have to see it to believe it. I know I'm a Jets fan. I get a little optimistic. I'm trying to think of the best case scenario.
I mean, how can you not be hyped about this situation? I don't blame you, but
You have a good 1-2 now. You
do. Sauce. I mean, I don't know. This might be Sauce's year. I mean, not year, but like half a year, because now he's not going to be that guy that's getting locked up. He's going to have a little more space. He's going to have.
When you say Sauce, you mean Garrett, right?
Oh yes, I mean Garrett. Okay. Thank you for correcting me. I mean, those are two great players in general. I get them mixed up a lot.
No, it's all good because they were drafted the same year too, and everything. So
but like I was saying, if you have Garrett. Or if you have Adams that's getting double covered, or you're having the better guy on him, it's going to give Garrett more.
Like Devontae Smith. Exactly. I think that could be a really, really sneaky one.
So we'll see how it plays out. It's just if Aaron Rodgers could get the ball down there.
Now, seriously, Amari Cooper, Buffalo Bills. I know I said Davante Adams, they had to go do this, but I think Amari Cooper.
They needed this more.
This is a perfect fit. I don't like the hate. Not even the hate Amari Cooper gets. People forget about him. I think he's a very, very underrated receiver. He could potentially be top 10 in the Bills.
Absolutely.
He's been so underrated. I think he's a top 5 route runner in the league. And so the Bills get Amari Cooper in the 6th, and they give up a 3rd-round pick. So the Browns get a 3rd-round pick back, and they give up a 6th in Amari Cooper. I think he's a perfect fit in this team. He's a clear-cut number 1 in this team. Now you actually have a decent receiver core. Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, Shakir, Curtis Samuel, 2 good tight ends in Kincaid and Knox.
Yeah.
And then now you have James Cook, and you have the guy last night, Ray Davis.
Ray Davis. Every time I think of his name,
Ray Davis? That's his name.
It was Ray Davis. I think Gabe Davis. This sounds.
He was a 4th-round pick this year, so you have some potential.
No, absolutely. Dude. I mean, after that game, you kind of know what you have. That's kind of like your 1 and 2 right there.
So you bring in Amari Cooper, one of the best route runners in the league, with Josh Allen. You don't think this might be a Diggs Allen type scenario again?
If not even better, you don't have that attitude with
No,
him.
you don't.
Honestly, this is the match made in heaven, because when there was rumors going around Adams getting traded, I'm like, yo, he would fit perfectly on the Bills. That'd be a perfect fit. Bills don't have that X factor. They have Cook. He's all right. But is that really your X factor?
Cook can't go out for a post down the field.
He can. And
he's a running back.
That's what you need with this offense. I mean, as much as they were better without Diggs, because you didn't have that, worrying to feed him.
Pressure with Josh Allen to throw him the ball.
And they did look a lot better, but they would look even better if they have that X factor, which would be Amari Cooper or Adams. But you're right. Amari Cooper had a phenomenal year last year with all the receptions he had. I mean,
1,250 yards.
It's unfortunate with the quarterback that he has.
Yes, his season and career so far has been ruined by Deshaun Watson. All I'm going to say is look at his numbers last year with Joe Flacco. He had over 17 yards per reception, 1,250 yards, had that dominating 200-yard game. Like, Amari Cooper is one of the most underrated receivers of our generation, honestly. He's been really solid for years and years, and we just don't talk about him that much.
No, we
now,
don't.
he's going to be with Josh Allen. The Bills might be a Super Bowl contender now. I'm just throwing that out there. They got the piece they needed.
They did, and it just comes down to Josh Allen and if he's going to turn it over. I mean, he's been good with this year. He hasn't turned over the ball a lot this year.
He hasn't thrown a pick yet.
He hasn't thrown a pick. I knew it was.
Now, there's
like
5 or 6 that could have been picks, but he's thrown a lot.
I mean, at the end of the day, there's no picks.
Doesn't matter. As long as you don't.
You got to love it, and I mean, James Cook has really been coming on as a great back. He's a great receiving back too. So you got everything you want to see. You picked up some guys you picked up some secondary in the draft. Their defense doesn't look terrible.
And they have a defensive head coach. So.
They could absolutely be a Super Bowl contender. I mean, it's just going to come out to how Josh Allen plays.
And we know Josh Allen's a top 3 quarterback in the league. So, like, are we really worried about Josh Allen? I'm not worried about Josh
Against
Allen.
The Chiefs, I am. That's the only... It always comes down... Yeah, you can be good, but can you beat the Chiefs?
Historically, he's played well against them. He just hasn't been able to beat them yet. So I agree with you.
Yeah, every one of those games come down to the wire.
So, Dylan, every time... we sit there, we turn on the TV, being New York fans. We sit on the couch, grab some popcorn. Maybe last night we ordered some Domino's. We sit back, we watch. Turn on the Giants game against the Bengals. Well, actually, it was Sunday night. Last night was Jets and Bills, but Sunday night Giants.
2
Bengals.
primetime games though.
Yeah,
can't complain
it's
there.
Good week for New York fans. You got the Mets winning last night. The Yankees. I don't know how it's going right now though, but they won game 1. But I think they're right now.
They were up when we left.
Yeah. So
I mean, listen.
Just sit down. You watch, Daniel Jones, you say before the game, oh, he's been playing pretty good. Like, he's had a good season. Then, he has a game like this, and, like, again, not terrible. But he kind of reminds you, like, oh, yeah, this is what Daniel Jones is. So, like, how do you feel? I'll let you go.
I feel like there was a lot more positive to pull from this game than there is negative. Yeah, we saw good old Danny Dimes underthrowing balls, taking sacks left and right. The offensive line falling apart, going back to what it used to be. But at the end of the day, our defense just keeps on excelling every week. Every week we're getting better. Burns is getting more sacks. It's just all coming together. We were missing Kayvon Thibodeau. That wasn't a problem. They didn't miss a beat. They were still on point. Burns, he was the defensive player of the game for sure. I mean, going into halftime, if Burrow didn't run back that 50-yard ball, that was just... They went man, and he had a good read, and he ran it all the way back. I get it. If they didn't do that, it would have been a 0-0 game. It always just comes back to Daniel Jones. And
in critical games, yeah.
In critical games. I mean, he went back to underthrowing balls, overthrowing balls. It's just like you can never get like a consistent couple weeks with this guy.
There was one route that Wandale ran like across the field, and Daniel Jones got hit, but like he was clearly open, and he just missed him. He
missed him, and that's a ball. I don't know if he was trying to throw it out of bounds. I don't know if he just said, hell, I just got to get rid of this ball.
You know what play I'm talking about.
I know exactly what play you're talking about. It was the worst play of the game. I mean, he didn't look terrible until he threw that ball. Well, that was the game changer right there.
Well, there also was the pick in the red zone. Let's talk about that. What do you do? Why even throw that?
That's the one I was talking about.
Oh, I was talking about there was a cross to Wandale across the field, and he got hit as he threw, but he just like completely missed, and he was open. He would have had yardage. But no, the pick in the red zone.
That's the one I'm talking about. That was.
Why are you throwing that ball? Like who are you throwing it to?
I think he was trying to throw it out of bounds, out of the back of the end zone.
You think getting hit 20 yards back, you're gonna reach the back of the end zone?
I don't know what his so. See, like you say it perfectly, he just overthinks things, and it really looks like he does. When his back's
at the back, and
when his back's against the wall, he does not perform well. But when things are going his way to the max. I mean,
he has talent.
I like as bad as this game was offensively. I think there's a lot more better things to look at. We were missing Singletary, even though I don't think he's a big factor. We're missing Malik Neighbors like last week. And we still almost beat the Bengals. I mean, we were very close there. I mean, that last drive, we were driving down the field. All we had to do was hit a field goal. And, of course, we turned it over. But the fact that we were able to hold this offense to, 17 points until they scored that last touchdown. This was an offense that's just getting things put together. They have all their targets back. They have Jamar Chase back. That's been light years better than we thought he would be. I mean, T. Higgins. I mean, it's great because
this offense has been one of the best, if not the best offense going into the game against the Giants this season, and the Giants shut them down. Your D-line is the best D. I was about to say might be. No, is the best D-line in the league. Brian Burns, the first couple of games of the season, week 1, week 2, he's quiet. He's really come on. He's putting together a Pro Bowl season right now. That game, he looked like the best player in the field. He looked like the best player on the field.
And we were missing Kayvon Thibodeau, and he's a great player too. And it's like Burns really stepped up into his position.
Your D-line does so well. Honestly, your secondary could be average, and it makes up for it because they get so much pressure on Joe Burrow, on the quarterback, to where they force throws.
They had the best 1-2 combo. They were going up against the best 1-2 combo ever in the league.
Did
Jamar
Chase even do anything?
He was. I think he had like 3 to 4 receptions.
Was Banks following him the whole game?
No. They went zone.
Yeah, they did. Zone defense.
Yes, and I like it. I mean,
I've seen some nice
that says a lot
from Banks,
more.
Though.
No, absolutely, but it really came down to the offense on this game, and it's unfortunate, but
I think Joe Burrow honestly made the plays when he had to. That throw rolling left on the sideline, like, he's special. When he plays, when he's healthy...
He reads it good. He knows when to step up into the pocket, take off.
It was a tough loss, but the Giants by no means are a laughingstock at all. I was completely wrong about them. I'll admit that right now. I was completely wrong. They have some pieces on this team. If they can get the quarterback, if they can get a tight end, they can be in the tough NFC. They're not that far from the Dallas Cowboys roster. The Giants have a better roster than the Dallas Cowboys.
They can win tough games, and it showed this season. I mean, they played really good against they always do this. They play so well against the good teams, get destroyed by the mediocre teams, and it's just so disappointing.
The Bengals, I guess, are mediocre right now, but
the Browns have one of the best defenses in the league.
Seattle was for 3-1 when they played you guys. Now, I'm going to ask that again because I don't think you internalized what I said. Do the Giants, think about their roster, do the Giants have a better roster than the Cowboys?
Yes, they do. I mean, like, their defense is humming.
Look at the defense.
The defense is
Other than Micah Parsons, who's on that defense? And Diggs. They got Bland. Bland's been hurt all season. But
their defense hasn't been doing
I think
crap.
The Giants D-line.
40 plus points back-to-back games.
People underrate Dexter Lawrence.
Oh, absolutely.
He is a terror.
He is.
Up the middle. He terrorizes
him with Burns is just so dangerous.
It really is now. And honestly, Brian Burns is really coming to a role on this Giants team. I thought it was a weird fit at first.
And I hope it lasts. I hope we can keep him for a while. And I hope we can use this defense when we have a good offense, you know?
Now, I bring up this Cowboys team, this Cowboys roster, because the Cowboys, they have a lot of injuries. I get it. They have, Micah Parsons didn't play in this game. But, they got embarrassed by the Lions. And honestly, I think the Lions, this is clearly the best offense in the league. Offensively, obviously this is the best. They might be the best team in the league, in my opinion. The Detroit Lions can do whatever they want on offense. God bless Aiden Hutchinson. I know he's going to be probably out for this season and most of next season.
I heard it wasn't that bad. It was a bad break, but I heard it's not season ending, so it's not as bad as people think.
It's not season ending?
No, I'm sorry. It's not career ending. It's season ending, but
it's like a Dak situation.
He's going to be back in 8 to 9 months.
Max Crosby to the Lions? They already let go of Davante. What happens to Max Crosby?
I mean, it seems like they're at the point where they're in rebuild, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
And Lions are at the point where, it's Super Bowl or nothing. A Super Bowl or bust for this team. You lost
your best defensive player. You need to go out there and get the pass rusher. We can talk about this game all we want. The Lions fucked up the Cowboys. Let's be honest. What is there really to talk about?
I mean, there's nothing to talk about the Lions. They're still one of the best teams, but the Cowboys, there's a lot to talk about there. What are the Cowboys? I mean, I just want to say, just the fact that you were in garbage time and Dak is still looking terrible. He can't do anything down there.
9 points. They had to put Cooper Rush in. It was still 9 points. Bro.
There's so much I can. How about them Cowboys?
That meme you send every week in the chat where it's Derek Carr. It's all the quarterbacks that beat him building on the. It's like a white screen. The faces of the quarterbacks around the screen building of every quarterback that beat Dak, and it says on it, Just checking to see if they're still the boys or something like that, right? Yeah, it's really funny. That one gets me every time you send that.
It just gets worse and worse. I mean, like, at least the last couple of years, like, they beat up on bad teams and would play somewhat close to good teams and just lose. But now they're just getting destroyed. And
I get you have injuries, but like embarrassed, like they were like sending linemen out just for passes just to fuck with you, like just
they were even from the beginning. Like they knew they had the game in the bag right from the first quarter.
The Lions wide receivers were running wide open every play. Every play, just like wide open down the field. Like, what are you doing? Mike Zimmer, defensive coordinator, what are you doing? Like, what is going on here? What, like, and I don't blame this on Mike McCarthy. I don't think this is a coaching thing. It's like it's a Jerry Jones thing.
I was about to say, it's like a similar thing to the Jets. It comes down to the ownership. Go
ahead, sorry.
No, you have Jerry Jones sitting on a radio show.
I was going to say the same thing.
Going back and forth to the analysts saying, oh, I don't want to hear about all the bad stuff. You're not going to bring up the good stuff. You must be smoking something. He said some crazy stuff on the radio. Yes. I'm like, you know things are getting bad if Jerry Jones is going crazy on the radio.
What good stuff when you let up, what was it, 50-something, and you scored 9 points? What was it, 47-9, I think?
It was in the high fours, yeah.
47-9. What good happened in that goddamn game? Jerry.
Nothing at all. On Jerry Jones' birthday. They did that to this guy on Jerry Jones' birthday.
This is becoming an Al Davis situation. But Al Davis actually was the head coach of the Raiders. So I don't know if you know, Al Davis is a very famous player, famous person in the NFL. He was the head coach of the Raiders in the 70s, 80s.
When they were good, yeah.
And then he took over as owner. So he was like an owner that knew football.
He knew his
GM,
team, yeah.
He was a head coach. Because back then, when you were an owner, you also coached the team. Really back in the day. And then as 2000s happened, and like he gets a little loopy, like drafts, questionable draft picks and stuff. Drafts Jamarcus Russell, big bust quarterback. Like he gets too much control, too much like power freak. Like I don't know what's the word power, like power tripping. He's power tripping. Jerry Jones is like on one giant power trip, going on the radio every week talking about his Cowboys. Like, go get a goddamn GM, Jerry. I will say that they do draft well. They don't draft terribly, but like,
go sell the team at this point. You still have like a high valued team.
When he first bought this team, he won multiple championships, but that was a Jimmy Johnson, a great head coach, and like, I don't know. He's just meddling. It always comes down to the meddling owners. When owners get involved too much, it like never ends well for your team. It really doesn't.
It's showing.
The Cowboys are never awful. They never bottom out, but they have not been to a conference championship game since 1995, Dylan. 1995. Since their last Super Bowl, they haven't been to a conference championship.
I think this is the beginning of the end for the Cowboys.
This is the beginning of the end. So what is the end though? Like, does Dak stay for another 5 years?
Well, they just gave him a contract.
That's what's confusing me. You spent the whole offseason not paying him, saying, "Okay, Dak,
you got to earn it.
You got to earn it. You had no talent this year. Go out and prove it." But then they pay him before the season starts. If you're going to live out that whole reality, why would you pay him?
What is he going to be earning? What is he going out there to earn? He already earned it. So, like, obviously, he looks all nonchalant. Like, he doesn't even care. He's like, I got my money.
I wouldn't say all that. I think he's a good soldier. But, like,
nobody likes him. You have him and CD going at it every other week. Even when they're winning, you see CD going at it.
Well, CD can come to the Jets and he'll see how happy he really is. Because, like, CD's going off, putting up numbers, so he really shouldn't be fucking complaining.
He's like a winner guy. He wants to win.
I think it's a little bit of, like, he's got a fucking bad attitude. It's like, dude, you put up numbers. Like, Dak was runner-up for MVP last year. You really think it's going to get better than that? Like, Dak's not an elite guy, but, dude, he's, like, in that Kirk Cousins category where it works. He puts up numbers in the regular season. Well, does he win in the playoffs? No. Is he having a down year? Maybe, but he was runner-up for MVP last season. CJ Lamb was a top 3 receiver last season. Now he wants Dak gone? What is he doing?
Well, listen, they have not been playing good offensive football. And it just shows. Even in these blowouts, they're not doing anything. I mean, it's just getting really, really bad. And
I can't disagree with that. I can't disagree with that.
They might be the worst team in the NFC East. I hate to throw it. They really might be.
It's close. They did beat the Giants, though. They beat you guys, so
by a hair. They
did, but they did beat you. So it's like, no, I get the argument though. I'm for the I'm right now. I'm all for the argument. Like, I can't. I'm not going to sit here and say you're crazy for saying that. I won't. I'm not.
I think I think they're going to be on the bottom of the list by the end of the season. I think Commanders are going to be leading. I think Eagles and Giants are going to be right there, and the Cowboys are just going to fall off. I mean, that it just seems so realistic.
No, I'm not.
The trajectory of these teams.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just thinking about you saying that and thinking about the reaction from people when they watch this video. I'm like, oh shit, he opened Pandora's
We're gonna
box.
get those boys getting wild.
So the boys getting wild. Brock Purdy's actually been really good this season, man. Like I know that he's been missing some guys, but like he's scrambling around. He looks elusive. Like I think we undervalue Brock Purdy's like elusiveness. And the Niners, like, I don't know. They beat the Seahawks. They've lost a couple comeback games. The Cardinals came back and beat them. The Rams, without Puka and Cooper Kupp, came back and beat them. Again, this game, they got to an early lead. Seahawks slightly came back a little bit. They held on to this game. They held on. What do you feel about that?
Well, I think this just goes back to the whole notion how they can't keep a lead. I mean, it was a very similar situation. I mean, going into halftime, it was 16-3, and then they let them come back. I mean, obviously they didn't completely come back, but they made it a game where they just don't know how to put a nail in the coffin and put their opponent out. And that's what worries me about this team. I mean, you could go out and blow out any team, but if you just let them come back, then how good are you?
Right. And I took a long pause there because I'm like really deeply thinking about like the Niners like future, and it's weird because it almost feels like the very, 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 very beginning of the end. Not like this year's going to be the end. Like they might still even be a Super Bowl contender. They might even make the NFC Championship game. But it feels like this is starting to slowly unravel a little bit. Very, very, very slowly. I love Kyle Shanahan. I honestly think Debo is like one of the most elite like players with the ball in his hand that I've ever seen. Honestly, honestly, I'm starting to love Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy lasts when all this is said and done. And like when all is said and done, he's even kind of like a Kirk Cousins, but people underappreciate him. But over time, they see that he's good.
I think just because of the spotlight that was on him. I mean, Mr. Irrelevant, he was on the best team. I mean, how can you not say he's a system quarterback when you have 5 stars that are stars in each one of their categories?
And the thing is, after the season, he's played so well, they're going to have to pay him. They're going to have to pay him. Now you're going to lose some people. George Kittle, he's been great this season, but like he's coming towards the end, Dylan. He gets hurt a lot. He's in his 30s. Like he's on that Kelsey trajectory where he might have a few good years left, but then like it's going to happen eventually. I'm sorry to say.
And I feel like this team is I don't want to say better, but they're looking good without their stars in, and that just gives me a lot of hope.
That's coaching right there. We always talk about how coaching is negatively it impacts like the Jets and teams like that. The Niners. It's coaching when you have...
It is. And I think they might not be, a dog of a team that's just running the division the whole year, but they're going to be very competitive for years on end. I mean, Brock Purdy is coming on to be a really good quarterback, and I think he's only going to get better over time.
I like Brock Purdy a lot. I think he will get better. But
he has those special plays that you can't look past.
You have so many players that are elite that are like nearing the end of their career. Like Fred Warner. Like he's not nearing the end, but he's getting to his 30s. Trent Williams, the best left tackle in the league, is like 35 now. Like George Kittle getting older. McCaffrey, he was healthy for a few years. He was, but now he's getting back to his injury ways. So
I think he's going to be fine. I mean,
I hope so, man. I actually really feel like when he comes back in November, he might pop his Achilles. He might.
I wouldn't pass it, but at the same time, I mean, they're giving him this much time. I think that just shows how much confidence they have in Purdy and how much confidence they have in this offense.
Well, Jordan Mason has been a nice backup piece.
He's oh my God. I mean, who knows if this didn't happen, we might not ever know who he is or what talent he might have.
Well, if McCaffrey played the whole season, we would not know who Jordan. We would never heard of Jordan Mason.
That's what I'm getting at, and it kind of gives CMC a little more time and a little less pressure to come back. And I think that's great. They're giving him all the time he needs, and they're doing just fine without him. So why rush it? What if they just brought him back for playoffs? That would be perfect.
We see they're doing just fine.
More than enough. That's what I'm saying. They give him more than enough time. Let him heal it. Let him do all the physical therapy he needs. Figure out what's wrong. Let him actually heal it, and then bring him back slowly.
2 people that came back. A.J. Brown, Davante Smith on the Eagles against the Browns. And look, I wanted to get into Commanders-Ravens because that was such a great game, but let's get really into what happened in that Browns-Eagles game, specifically what happened at the end. I know A.J. Brown and Davante Smith looked like A.J. Brown and Davante Smith.
They did.
Jalen Hurts, although he didn't look great, but didn't turn the ball over. Good, solid game for Jalen Hurts. The only touchdown for the Browns was that blocked field goal return for a touchdown. So Myles Garrett showing Myles Garrett again. But I think what I really want to get into is the guy that shaved his head and then on the sideline yelling at his own fans. And then when he realizes that he does something stupid, he brings his kid into the press conference so no one yells at him. What the fuck was that? What was that? You ever I don't even know. It's like you do something embarrassing at work and they tell you, oh, like you're in trouble. Pretty much you're in trouble. Come to a meeting. We have to talk to you, and you bring your kid so they can't say anything bad. What can this guy lead men? Because I don't think he can.
I mean, the more you talk about, the more brain boggling it is. Because it just gets crazier and crazier every week. I mean, he's the Eagles. He's in Philly, so that's what the fans want to see. But at the same time, that's the fans. They do not want to see that. You're going at the crowd after they're saying, "Oh, fire Sirianni," and then he's going back at them after they won a game where they really should have blown this team out
against one of the worst quarterback in the league.
Roster wise, they are miles better than this team. I mean, you got all your stars back, and this is how you play.
You won that by a hair. Against the worst quarterback in the league.
16-20.
What are you doing?
Your offense wasn't humming. You really didn't have anything going on until the end there.
And you're sitting there yelling at the fans like, what? Like you just won the Super Bowl? What the fuck?
You see Andy Reid doing this, going back and forth with come on. I mean,
ironically, Andy Reid was at one point at a time they had a coach of the Eagles, and I'm sure they wish he was back.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they would have been back to back.
Then to go in the press conference with your kid.
I still haven't wrapped my brain around that.
You know that the media is gonna roast you. No, I'm gonna bring my kid. They can't really come at me then. I'm at a loss of words, my friend.
I don't like where this is going for the Eagles. I mean, all these NFC East teams. No, the two best NFC East teams are just falling down a mountain, man.
Well, the Commanders probably are the best NFC East team now. But the Eagles, 2 years ago, they were in the Super Bowl with this guy. We were saying this guy's a good head coach and everything. And, clearly it was the offensive coordinator, Shane Steichen, making Jalen Hurts. Once he left for the Colts, has not been the same now.
It's just this is the last type of person that you want to be the coach. I mean, nothing but screaming at people, going at the fans. What are you doing?
I wouldn't even want the guy running my grocery store. The way he acts. He acts like a child, bro.
He does.
You're yelling at your own fans? That's a big no-no. Especially Philadelphia with the media. And they're going to come at you. Take it on the chin, man. You bring your kid out there. I have a hard time with that, my friend.
No, I mean, this is exciting for me as a Giants fan. I love seeing this stuff.
What you probably don't love, though, like I said, the best team in the NFC East, the Commanders. Honestly, that's the best loss you're ever going to get against the Ravens. You don't get a loss better than that. You go up against
toe-to-toe with them.
And you think the Ravens are the best team in the league. And that could have gone either way that game.
And I've been saying this, their top 5 NFC teams, they're top 5. And it's crazy how much this NFC conference has just turned around. You got the Vikings, you got the Commanders, you got, the Lions. That's your top 3 right there. And 2 of those teams, it's they could have been the worst team in the beginning of the year. Now they're running the conference.
I did not think the Commanders were going to be this good.
I didn't either. Now the Vikings, I feel like that's more shocking. A little bit.
Jaden Daniels or Jalen Hurts?
Jaden Daniels, 100%.
Jaden Daniels.
He's the better version of Jalen Hurts.
More accurate, better moving, better throwing on the run.
Absolutely.
Bigger arm. Knows how to step on the pocket. Doesn't turn the ball over as much. Better runner. Better runner. Jalen Hurts is bigger and stronger. But that's probably
Is he bigger, though?
And honestly, Jalen Hurts, his one strength is his deep ball. Jaden Daniels' deep ball is just as good, if not better. Jaden Daniels is actually a really stud quarterback.
Accurate. I haven't seen any bad throws from him.
Is he top 10 after the season's over?
It's hard to throw somebody like that. That's in his
We did it to Stroud.
we did it, and it paid off because they've regressed a little bit, but he still looks.
He's still 5-1, or is it 4-1? He's only got one loss.
He's still up there, but you have to consider it. And I think he's absolutely the front runner for MVP. And it's crazy because people are throwing Caleb Williams up there. He played 2 or 3 good games. I'm like, get him out of here. There's wide receivers that are playing better football than he is. It blows my. He plays one good game, and the media says, "Yeah, MVP." I'm sorry, not MVP. Rookie of the year.
He beat the Jaguars. He beat the Titans. He beat a bunch of shit teams, the Panthers, the 3 shittiest teams in the league.
He looks like a quarterback out there. A great quarterback? No. A good quarterback on some days. Rookie of the year? Jaden Daniels. He looks like a top 5 quarterback. That's Rookie of the year. Runner-up by a mile.
Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Caleb Williams. Those are your 3 Rookie of the Years.
And like you always say, it always goes to the quarterback. And there's no reason why it wouldn't go to Jaden Daniels.
Right now.
I don't care how good. Malik Williams plays. Marvin Harris Jr., even though he hasn't really looked that good these past couple weeks. But those are basically it.
I only laughed because I had him in fantasy, and I traded Garrett for Well, actually, now Garrett has Davante. He might go down a little bit.
All right, let's watch it happen first.
Dude, the Bucs offense,
52 points.
Baker Mayfield is actually talking about MVP candidates.
He's up there.
What a resurrecting to someone's career, Baker Mayfield.
Bouncing between team to team, thinking you're going to be a backup. I mean, technically he was a backup, and they just gave him a chance.
They signed him for a flyer, just like, what the heck? This guy's going to suck. Let's just try. And
he revived this team. Revived his career and revived this team.
It's funny because honestly, an interesting thing I've seen from this team, last year, Mike Evans goes off. They put all the focus on Mike Evans. Now, who's the attention to? Godwin. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
It's like they have two extremely elite receivers who are both top 20. Both of those two are top 20. Godwin and Evans are both top 20.
Yeah.
They put all the attention on Godwin last year and Baker and the other their tight ends and everything. And Mike Evans was just going off. Now they're double covering Mike Evans. And look at Godwin now, looking like
Rashid White too. I mean,
Bucky Irving.
I mean, this just goes back to the whole notion that NFC is such a scary conference. It really is. It's getting better and better by the week.
Off the top of your head, we can name 5 elite teams in the NFC. Off the top of your head, top 5.
We'll start with the Bucs. Okay, in order: Lions, Vikings, Commanders, Bucs, and Niners. I mean, you can't miss the Niners on that.
Okay. You're gonna
off the top of my head.
Okay, you're gonna think I'm crazy right now. Lions, Packers. You didn't put the Packers.
I didn't put the Packers in, but rightfully so. I think the
Bucs
are playing better than
Lions, Packers, Vikings, Commanders, Bucs.
You're not even gonna add the Niners in there.
9 or 6.
9 or 6. This is such a
what a turnaround.
Two years ago, we were all talking about AFC runs the
look
NFL.
At the NFC South. The Falcons could be up there too if you want. The NFC South. The NFC South turned their division around, Dylan.
NFC is such. I keep on saying it. They're such an exciting. Anytime you see an NFC play, it's like, oh, what's going to happen?
Right.
Name me the worst NFC team.
Why are the Panthers?
The Panthers, but they on good days
they look a little better now. Is there a worse one right now? Honestly, the NFC West is out of the question.
And then you look at the NFC East, and it might be one of them.
It's the Panthers right now.
It is.
And honestly, they're not that bad anymore.
They're not.
The Titans and Patriots and Dolphins are all worse than them right now. So, and the AFC, that's what I'm saying. So the NFC, it's not that bad anymore. But the NFC South, 2 years ago, we were saying how this division, is a joke and everything. Now you got 2 really legitimate teams, the Bucs and the Falcons. The Saints I'm worried about now. The Saints
Saints might be up there for worst team because
they were so good those first 2 weeks and now they're chopped. They're chopped. Honestly, we should have known this.
I think it comes down to Carr and the quarterback.
Well, Spencer Rattler was decent this week.
But they looked good with Spencer Rattler.
He started to turn the ball over a little bit at the end.
He had a few special plays that you can't look
in the beginning,
past.
yes, but he was I'm pretty sure he was a 5-star prospect in high school. Struggled a little bit in college, but he has the talent.
And I mean, you could really see it in their first game. I mean, he didn't look scared. It didn't look like he was nervous. I mean, he looked like he was ready for the NFL.
Bold takes. Top of your head. Give me 2 hot takes from the games that you watched this week. Just off the top of your head. Any Giants, Eagles, Jets, Niners, like, what is something that stood out to you the most this week? That's like, you're like, after that week, I'm going to take this into the next week. A big take.
That's a great question. Let's see. I think Commanders are making playoffs. That's not that crazy. And
I'll give you one more. Go ahead.
And I think the Eagles missed the playoffs. I don't.
Okay, that's not crazy, but that's also kind of hot. You have the Commanders making it over the Eagles. Who would have thought that before the season started?
No.
Well, my hot take, my biggest take from this whole reaction and from the trades that happened, Amari Cooper of the Bills is going to be bigger than people think. Bills actually have now put themselves as a Super Bowl contender.
Okay, that's a pretty hot take.
So we will see you for the next episode. We're going to make our Week 7 picks. Stay tuned for the next episode. Like, subscribe, share. Keep supporting us. Don't hate. Stop hating, guys. Thanks, Dylan. We'll catch you guys in the picks for the next episode. Thanks, guys. Take care.